Hey, what's up? HC3 here, and today I'm going to do a quick recap of my first Monarch pre-release. Start off by talking about these nice looking promos from the pre-release. These are cold foiled. This is Eclipse Existence. You guys have probably seen these by now. They come with the TCG Player at Home pre-release kits. I went to an in-person pre-release. Had a lot of fun. These cards are absolutely gorgeous. Definitely a nice takeaway for everyone that participated. Now, at the pre release, we got 6 packs of Monarch to open up and assemble a sealed deck. My pre release had a Swiss format followed by a top 4, where the winner would secure a playmat for whether they were light or shadow, and the other would go to the highest ranking player of the opposites alignment. So I'm going to show you some of my openings in this little video. We'll start with the least spicy. So here are my cards that I pulled for Warrior. So for Warrior, I'm just going to sort them by color for you so you can see them. We're going to throw our blues down here. We're going to throw our reds. It's a little too high. Let's get used to the camera for a second. A little off center, but that will be okay. So you can see it's not a deep warrior pool. What's that? 9 cards. So really not much to work with here. I don't like how few reds there are. There's no bombs. If I look at rarities really quick, this is one rare, and that's it. So one rare in Warriors. The rare is Battlefield Blitz. If you've charged this turn, Battlefield Blitzkins go again. What we learned in the format today is sometimes it's hard to be able to charge. There's a lot of chippiness. I was listening to someone compare Flesh and Blood to like a fighting game, where like you're just getting in little bits of damage when you can, and like a lot of footsies. And that's what it felt like today in sealed format. So this was underwhelming when I opened it, and to be honest, it was the easiest class to write off. I thought Bolton would be a pretty friendly class to play. I have a Warrior, I have a Kasai deck assembled right now for Blitz. I've watched a lot of Warrior, streamers like Tower Number 9, I watch frequently. Some cards that are interesting here, but really just not enough for me to work with. My generics supported Warrior slightly. A couple of cards that might have benefited, but I thought with 9 cards, class cards are very important, and they should be the bread and butter. And I'm a big proponent of allowing your sealed what you open to dictate what you play. I don't like forcing. Um, there could be a case made for it for sure, but in terms of personal style, I'm against forcing your class. Okay, next up, let's take a look at. Guys, you're gonna figure out by process of elimination what class I ended up playing because here here is our Shadow Runeblade. So let's get some centering on our yellows. So Shadow Runeblade was more compelling than Warrior. Shadow Runeblade, I have to be honest, it's kind of scary to play. And I played against a player, one player that played Shadow Runeblade. I don't know if more players played, and I just didn't run into them in the pool. And he piloted it very well, and I was impressed. You have to like have a little bit of restraint. You can't just go all in. You can't be generating tokens every turn with chain. You have to be very conscious of your limitations, and I'm not sure if I could do that. You know, chain's ability, if you're not familiar, allows you to create a soul shackle token, which gives your next attack go again. So you can really go wide and string together a couple of attacks that are really productive. But the downside, of course, is that you start banishing a lot of your deck. One time when I was playing the Shadow Runeblade, he did end up getting decked, and it was really to no fault of himself. He just kind of ran out of gas. And so I was looking at my cards for this class, and I like some of them. Rip Through Reality and Banning Demagon are pretty solid cards. There's, let's see, 7 plus 5. There's 12 cards here. So it's a healthy pool. There's no bombs here. The people I played against had a lot of Majestics. I only opened up one Majestic, and you'll see it shortly. It's obviously not in Shadow Runeblade. In terms of Blood Debt, there's a healthy amount of Blood Debt cards here, and a lot of cards that could be played from the Banished Zone. So like it had potential in that regard. The real cards I was looking for if I was going to play Shadow Runeblade, I really like Vexing Malice. I like getting that attack that always has the Arcane attached to it. Stuff to that effect. And a lot of these non-attack action cards, you can see I've got attack action, attack action, attack action. This one's an attack action too. So a lot of attack actions, and I think you need to really juggle the non-attack actions. See, there's only two non-attack actions here. And I thought that balance was off, so I didn't feel good about it. So truthfully, I didn't write off Shadow Runeblade. I evaluated them at the point where I was just much more in favor of some of the other classes. So it just kind of like made its own way out of my pool in my mind. So let's look at the close runner-up from my pool. You guys are going to give me some shtick for not picking this one. Everyone at the event was like, "Are you crazy? Why didn't you play them?" And, you know, they have a point. So let me set this up for you. So we've got our Shadow Brute. So I play Brute, or I have experience playing Brute in Blitz with Rhinar, of course. It's very different with Shadow Brute, but I mean, the gist of it's the same. It's just a little bit more dangerous. And in Sealed, you kind of lack some of that consistency that you can generate from a constructed or a classic constructed or Blitz Rhinar deck. So that was a concern for me. So if you look at these cards right now, you see the glaring issue is only 2 blues. So not a lot of resource generation. And then the thing that stands out that's really good, of course, these 3 Dread Screamers. So Dread Screamer, if you don't know, is an amazing card for Shadow Brute because it allows you to attack for a big number. Let's get this even closer and refocus. So it's coming in for 5 on yellow pitch, which, you know, I wish it was a 6 pitch, 6 strength because that has more synergy with the class. But coming in for 5 with Go Again, if you banish a 6 from your graveyard. And when you're banishing from graveyard with a lot of these cards, you're banishing 3 random cards from the graveyard, so your odds of hitting a 6 are pretty good. And you can see I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 attacks up here. We've got Hungering Slaughter Beast and Smash that are also over 6. So there's a good amount of over 6 in the pool. And then, of course, this is my one Majestic pool. Very gorgeous and cool card that I'm excited to use in Blitz. Tear limb from a limb. Draw a card, then discard a random card. If a card with 6 or more is discarded this way, the next brute attack action card you play this turn gets plus X, where X is its base. So you could really, like, if you're able to set up and you get, like, you know, a Dreadwood Rumbler on top of your deck, where it has 8 attack, you could tack on 8 attack to your next attack. It's very cool and super bursty. And Brute already had this, like, low-key OTK potential. And this card definitely makes that, like, more of a possibility. But a lot of the Brute actions are expensive. I mean, 2 costs, 2 costs, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 1. But this is a setup card. It's not an attack. 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2. And when I want, like, something like a Dread Screamer to be the basis of, like, my turn, like, I would like to pitch Dread Screamer and follow up with another attack. I was trying to realistically contemplate how often I'd be able to do it with such few blue pitches. I mean, this is a good time for me to show you, now that I've basically eliminated both of my shadow classes, I could show you the general shadow pool. And it's really nothing special. There are 3 blue pitches here. So I could have gotten up to 5 blue pitch in total. They're not necessarily good cards, though. This is just opt 1, then vanish. It has no block. I really don't like this card. Cards that don't block are very tough to deal with. And these are both low attacks that aren't going to synergize very well with Brute in general. These are cards that are pretty good in Chain. If you have Belittle, Minnowism, they can definitely make an impact and you can play them multiple times. So I was worried about being able to resource because you pitch, let's say you pitch two Dread Screamer. So it's two cards out of your hand. Now you have a follow up opportunity, so you need to pitch a third card to either swing with your weapon or maybe use another ability. So that means you need to have three cards to generate an above average turn or a good turn. It's just a lot to ask when you have a lot of hard hitters in the format or chains that are going wide where you're going to have to block two or three times in a turn so that you're not getting chipped away for 7 damage with 3 arcane every turn. Or illusionist if you don't have a 6 handy, because you don't really want to, like, these are my bombs. I wouldn't want to block with them too frequently. I mean, it feels good to take on an illusionist action, and by all means, like, if I could throw a Slaughter Beast or a Smash the Big Tree at it, sure. But I also need those to turn around and attack with, and I also need those to maintain my levy ability. I slightly regret not playing Shadow Brute. I think it would have been a lot of fun. And Illusionist ended up being super prominent in the pool. So I think Shadow Brute would have done well just from a matchup sake. And I realize now that I had 2 cards off camera that whole time. I really gotta fix my angles a little bit. It's a work in progress, boys. Work in progress. But this new camera is pretty cool. Top down look. Appreciate that. Okay. Let me adjust you a little bit more and then I'll show you my deck. So obviously I ended up going Illusionist. I did mention that my only Majestic is Tear Limb from Limb. So you go to a pre-release and you're opening 6 packs and you're hopeful that you'll pull something cool, something spicy. A lot of people are against picked 2 Majestics and the class that they ended up playing, probably influenced by the fact that they pulled 2 Majestics. Some people had 3, some had more or less in between. I opened up my first pack and the card that popped out was a cold foil. My first cold foil. What do you want to call it? Natural cold foil out of a first edition pack that I opened myself. Time Skippers Cold Foil Common. And if you don't know much about Flesh and Blood, cold foil, any cold foil, it's not a promo. This is a common, it's not a promo, is minimum $100 bill. So that made my day because it's like, okay, this event's paid off. I had to travel to get to the event. And I'm like, this is not a huge waste of my time. Even though I had a lot of fun regardless. I'm being a little hyperbolic here, but you get the gist of what I'm trying to say. So, let's get to actually talking about what I ended up playing. I got a full set of armor. Obviously, I had those boots from the cold foil. And I started out running them, but they really weren't good. There's a lot of mana intensive stuff in this set, and it was just too much for me to try and pitch 3 to use those boots. So this is what my armor setup looked like. What I can advise you if you play a sealed event, and I can tell you now that I came in second. I lost to Michael from Cards to Michael, very good player. He played incredibly well. He had a great plan, and he just outclassed me in the finals, and he also was my 1 loss in the Swiss. So fully deserving winner. Hats off to him. Everyone I played was very competent, and the games were close. There's one game that like I felt comfortable the whole time, but the other games like could have went either way, really. And I think that's a testament to how close it can be in Flesh and Blood. So I really enjoyed that aspect of it too. Back to the Ironhide. So Ironhide seems like it's a little whatever, but there's so many cards that don't block in this set that Ironhide turns the non-blockers into actually super efficient blockers. Like if you had a 3 pitch that can't block, all of a sudden it's blocking for 6. This is just really helpful because there's a lot of on-hit effects. Stubby Hammers just kind of filled the slot. I really wish I had the gloves from the Illusionist. I think they're called like Dreamweavers or something like that. Those are incredible gloves, and I couldn't find them. They're common as well. But, I got pretty lucky with my other pulls, so I can't complain much. But those would have been good because then you can kind of ensure that some of your big attacks are not going to get blocked out by a 6 strength card and just be instantly undermined. So I'll set my cards up really quick here, and then we'll just talk about it for a moment. This video is getting a little long, but a couple of you that are actually interested might appreciate it. Let's clear these guys off because you know what Prism looks like. I'm going to include my generics, and then I'll explain why I went with the generics I went with. And there's a couple of cards that, like, I think I would have probably reconsidered in hindsight. I did feel like, I don't know, I watched a lot leading up to the event, so I felt like I had like a good bit of knowledge, but I definitely learned a lot in play today, which I think is very positive. I think if I went there and everything was exactly how I expected it, then it wouldn't be too fun of an experience. I think there was a lot to learn. So it was a mess, but I really can't make it pretty. So what we have up here for reds, I went with 3, 6, 9, 10 reds, which some people might argue is like a little hefty. I did, against the person that beat me, I got the full red clutch once or twice. And I have to say, that's really hard to deal with. I went with 3, 6, 9 blues. I originally thought I had more, but I think I took one out. And then for yellows, I had 3, 6, 9, 11 yellows. So, the good cards. So, this is an amazing card. Spears of Surreality. Of course, it has Phantasm, which has a drawback, because if you go against someone that has 6 strength, it's an issue. But this is pitch 1 for a 5 attack with Go Again. And it blocks for 3. Like, these are actually insane. And these are the cards that I wish, if you had your Illusionist Gloves where you can take off Phantasm, this would be a prime candidate, because then you could chain this into something else and just have like a really strong... It's hard to block 5 in this format. And you can block with a 3 pitch and a 2 pitch, but it's just not efficient. Like, using 2 cards to block something that has Go Again is very annoying, because then you're going to end up taking damage on one of the ends, or you're just going to end up losing momentum and constantly passing a turn. So this is one of the MVPs. If you get your hand on a couple of these, definitely can enable a good Illusionist deck. I'll take the cards out as I go over them. Phantasmify is a card I was looking for specifically, and when I opened it, I was very excited. This gives +5 and Phantasm for 1. It kind of makes an attack into a bomb, and so it worked really well in most of my matchups except for the mirror. When I opened it, my original thought was, okay, I've got my closing combo, because if I sneak this into Arsenal and then I get out my... Where's Herald of Tenacity hiding? I don't know where he's hiding. There he is. He was red pitch, I forgot. So if I get on my Herald of Tenacity who has Dominate, this is just really impossible to deal with, right? Because you're coming in for 11 with Dominate. So that's like a little combo that if you can get it together, it really did a lot of work. And there's just no bad target to use Phantasmify on. Sure, Phantasm's annoying, but in sealed, they're not always going to have 6. And I mean, it's going to be the case too in constructed. Like, not every deck can play 6 constantly. And against Brute, that card's going to feel really bad. But there's potential for that card to make its way into some formats. I'm not sure. I have to think about it more before I can solidify my opinion and pinpoint exactly where the window of opportunity is. So the other thing you want for when you're playing Illusionist is you just want a lot of the Heralds. Heralds are just really strong attacks. Obviously, they can be dealt with, but if you pull a lot of Heralds, it's pretty much a go sign to play Illusionist. And as you can see, I pulled a lot of Heralds. And Heralds are... These are all common for the most part. I think the Herald of Triumph is rare. Yes, he is rare, and he's a nice one. But the rest of them are common, but they're just very solid. Like, War Tune Herald is coming in 1 pitch for 7 damage. So it's just very strong. Herald of Rebirth has like 3 on hit effects. Herald of Ravages has on-hit effects. These cards that come in for a lot of damage and have on-hit effects, just they require a response, which is super beneficial. Like your opponent has to do something about it. I had a Phantasmify, another one for blue pitch. It's not bad. It blocks for 2, which is a little annoying, but it gives +3 still. And most of the time I'm pitching that. Cards that weren't very good. Seek Enlightenments are just bad in Illusionist, but they have block values, and I really didn't have much more to put in here. I mean, the one card from my Illusionist pool that didn't make it into the deck, I mean, really, I probably could have found something else to put in there. But the one card that didn't make it was Prismatic Shield Blue Pitch. I think the red pitch is very, very good. But the blue pitch, you're pitching 3, you're getting 1 Spectral Shield that has no block value. This is just bad. I don't know what to say about it. It's just bad, I think. I think even the yellow pitch is not great. But the red pitch, I think, is very good. Which is interesting for me to say, because it's like, how could 2 pitches of the same card be bad? But 3 Spectral Shields, that requires 3 cards in your soul and 6 mana typically. And you can defend 3 Spectral Shields. Sometimes it's really hard to defend 1 Spectral Shield because of stuff like arcane damage and it comes through, and then you're planning on having that Spectral Shield around so you can get your 4 attack go again with the default weapon from Prism. But it's going to disappear to random effects that you're just not expecting. Like, even if you're playing in the mirror, I was just showing you Herald of Ravages. Like, Herald of Ravages on hit also does an arcane damage. So there's just a lot of ways to poke through it, and the fact that your Spectral Shield token has to block whatever comes in is tough. But generating 3 at once, you can defend those, and they enable really big turns because 4 damage is significant with that go again. So I really, really think that would have been nice to have in the deck. I got 1 Parable, which is the Aura. It's probably one of the worst ones. Attack action cards controlled by an opponent have -1 while attacking and defending. So, like, it has utility, obviously, but these are expensive. I got smoked by one of the other ones. I decided to try and not take it out. It was a huge mistake in hindsight, but I thought maybe I could erase it, and then my opponent was just like, I'll just take that damage and make you look like an idiot. And he did. I was just like, the first game against that same opponent had gone poorly for me, so I was just trying to find any excuse to like change lines of play, and that was just the wrong way to go. Little cards that you might want to look out for that perform pretty well: Illuminate, blocks for 3, pitches for 3. It's really nice. I mean, the cost 0. Like, if you had a free go again, you could even just throw it out and be like, go for it. I actually really enjoyed Rising Solar Tie. A lot of people just didn't block it. It's nice because it doesn't have Phantasm on it. I mean, you could even Phantasmify it if you felt the need or wanted to, but it was really nice to have some cards that don't have Phantasm. Yinti Anti is just a filler. It's really not bad with Illusionist. It's probably not bad with Chain either, but it's filler at the end of the day. Searching Militia is great. You should play this. The one theme you'll notice is that none of my generics are 6 attack. Here's the rest of my generics. This is Yellow Pitch, so it's only 5 attack. This is Belittle, so it's not even close, baby. This is Yellow Pitch, so it's only 5 attack. This is Yellow Pitch, so it's only 5 attack. So I had no way to deal with Phantasm efficiently in my deck, or in my whole pull. Here's Rally Rearguard. It's Yellow Pitch. It's for 5. So that was really annoying, because in the mirror, my opponents would have 6 strength and be able to deal with it, and I just couldn't. So it forced me to block and lose momentum a lot, and I think in hindsight I'm going to take way more damage and just see if I could turn it around. But that's a lesson I had to learn about the sealed format in general. Like, you have to play loose and fast with your life pools. Glisten was very bad for me. I didn't underestimate how hard it would be to keep Spectral Shield token in play. Obviously, the dream of Glisten is you have a Spectral Shield token in play. It's your turn. It becomes a weapon. You Glisten it for 3 with Yellow Pitch. Then, since it turns back to an aura at the end of the turn, you keep those 3 counters on that Spectral Shield token, and then you have an insane 7 attack weapon for the foreseeable future. Yeah, that never happens. Those Spectral Shield tokens just disappear. I couldn't keep them around. Blinding was fine. A couple times it saved my attack. I appreciated it. The blue pitch shouldn't have been played. I should have just brought in some generics instead of it. This is just bad. The fact that it has 0 defense. I checked how many 0 defense and 2 defenses I had beforehand, and I felt comfortable with it, but you really should have less than a handful. I think I had 6 maybe. And I justified it in my head because I had all the Ironhide gear. But even then, it's just like you need to have reliable defense, in my opinion. And I also had 1 Rally the Real Guard, so I'm like, I could turn something with no defense into defense effectively. But it just doesn't always work out where you have these cards ready and they're lined up. The rest of this pool, everything was okay. I already talked about Rise and Solar Tide. The other bad card, astonishingly bad, was Impenetrable Belief. I mean, 2 resources for 5 damage, just bad. Its effect never played. I played Chain twice, and I could never get its effect to go. I think the timing of it's just off. Like, you need to have it late in the game when Chain's used. 3 Soul Shackles, or you need to have it against Shadow Brute. So maybe you would board it against the Shadow Brute because then they use their attack and you get a 4 defense. But it's just really not that good of a card. And like I said, some mistakes I made, I should have brought in some of these generics that, like, they're underwhelming at a glance. Like, this is expensive. And I just didn't see how I would be paying resources for this, but it's also reliable damage. It doesn't have Phantasm. Belittle has Go Again. Like, you could throw it out there for a cheap poke. Trying to open them up. Same thing with Brandish. That's what the eventual tournament winner did. He used a lot of these inexpensive cards that Go Again. Just to start off a turn with a little bit of momentum. So I think that is something that I will consider more when I go into my second pre-release tomorrow. And like I said, I had a lot of fun. The event was overall a huge success in my opinion. I got second place. I didn't get any mat. You can see my Shalom mat under all these cards. I'm still rocking it because the top 4 were 3 light players and 1 shadow player. So the shadow player got the shadow mat instantly, which he deserved it because he played Chain very well to make it into top 4. And then I lost in the finals, so I had a chance at winning the map, but really I was just outclassed and outplayed, so I can't have any qualms about that. But like I said, overall very fun. I hope you appreciated this. I think at the end of the day, my one reservation is like maybe I should have went brute with that card pool. Given how many illusionists there were, I could have found success. But again, just not having reliable pitch makes me reluctant. So I'm pretty happy with how I played it and how everything played out. There's a couple individual decisions like not attacking the aura in the finals. That just obvious mistakes that I wouldn't make ever again. But attacking a Spectra aura is just... whew, it feels bad. Feels really bad, and there's just not many ways around it. You gotta do it. So, food for thought for you guys that haven't done pre-releases yet or just looking to review your pre-release strategies. I hope you appreciated this. I'm HG3, and I will talk to you soon. In fact, I'll have another pre-release, so I'll do another video like this tomorrow. And on Monday, I'm expecting my TCG Player first edition Monarch box to come, and I'm going to open that box at the very least. I haven't decided how many boxes I'm opening, but that box is getting opened. I know I'm opening a minimum of 2, basically. That one and the Channel Fireball box, but I don't have any tracking in the Channel Fireball box yet, so I can't tell you when that's coming in. Hopefully sooner than later. But I'll see you guys. Be good. I'll see you soon.